off our first Wake Up Wednesday. For those who may not know who I am, I've been in the industry for 11 years, serving as the board of director this year and chair of the entertainment committee. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Bayou Title and Landmark Title on title issues that may arise in our industry today.
Good morning, I'm Louis Library with Bayou Title. A little bit about us. We've been around for 24 years. Lots of experience, lots of offices throughout the state, 20 to be exact, so we can handle all your needs. And of course, our lovely office in Lake Charles, manned by Melissa and Angie and Kaylee, do a great job, and I know a lot of y'all know them. They've been around in this area, working in this industry forever. Great girls, and of course, I would love to say that the reason Bayou Title Lake Charles does so well is because of me. No, that is not true. It's because of Melissa and Angie and Kaylee. So of course, you know to call us for anything you do at any time. So that's my info for now. Thank you.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Crystal Delaney. I'm with Landmark Title. I've been with Landmark 5 years. We've actually been in business since when Ron bought the company in 2016, but we've been in business since '97. Dee Sarver was who he purchased Landmark from, and but I've been a notary and been in the title business since 1995, so 28 years. I am the escrow officer, manager of Landmark Title.
Title insurance is so important.
Yes, we do have to be careful with title insurance. Of course, we love title insurance, right? Because we have $1 billion insurance company behind us if something goes wrong. I'll say this, Louisiana realtors have not been put to the test about this, but there is a case out there from up north where a realtor advised the client at the closing table to not get title insurance. Well, guess what? There was a title problem, realtor got involved and had to pay money. I don't know the exact details, but I know they got involved in that. So the first thing is stay out of that question, right? Stay out of that question, let the attorneys talk to them and advise them accordingly. And that's the way you need to push that, and don't go one way or the other. So why is it important is because, like I said, if there is a title problem and it's covered under the policy, right, the title insurance company will provide attorney's fees, court costs, any defenses, all the above. And it really comes at no cost to them except for paying the premium at closing. It's pay one price up front, and you're done. You will have that protection as long as you own that property if you get the owner's title insurance. So it does come important, and it does save you a lot of money in the long run if there's a problem.
Great, thank you. What are the most common errors that can be avoided that prevent or prolong the closing?
Okay, so from the realtor standpoint, addendums, right? Addendums. What we need, if any time y'all having to sign addendum, I know sometimes y'all just hold on to them. Sometimes you give them to the lender, not the title company. Sometimes you give them to the title company, not the lender. Everybody's gonna know. So when it comes to concessions or some last minute repairs that came up during the last minute inspection, the day of inspection, there's two ways to handle that. Either that addendum needs to get to title company and lender. Lender needs to approve it, okay? Or you got to keep it totally totally outside of closing, okay? We prefer at this point, especially if it's last minute, to keep it outside of closing. Let them handle it like one. If we have any idea of it, we have to tell the lender, and the lender has to make a decision on if that can be incorporated into the closing. Normally, this kind of stuff happens, especially with the last minute inspections. It's too late, right? We cannot start the process all over, or that's what's going to happen. And that process actually has to start all over, where the lender has to send it back to underwriting. So concessions and any kind of repairs, again, and we got to be careful. Once you say repairs, that's a red flag on most of the FHA loans or VA loans. Those are red flags that really get the lender really nervous. So that kind of stuff, again, we'd rather handle it outside of closing. If we do want to include it in closing, like I said, expect some delays, expect the lender to approve, expect title to approve also.
Why is getting all the information from the realtor or lender so important?
I like this question. So when I teach contract classes, this is how I start every contracts class. So the question is, how can an attorney be one person to represent all these parties, right? We have a buyer, we have seller, we have realtors, we have a bank. There's a lot of parties involved in there. And so the question is, how can one attorney do that? From an ethical standpoint, you would think, hey, I can't represent all these parties. How do we do it? It is very simple. We have instructions. We have instructions from the realtors, purchase agreement. We have instructions from the lender, which normally could be anywhere from 20 to 60 pages worth of instructions. Those are our instructions, right? That's how we get the thing. It's our job, the title company, to put it all together and make sure everything is being done. So what's most important is that damn contract, right? It has to be done. It has to be done correctly and make sure everybody's on the same page. So that's why it's so important, because I 100% rely upon that contract to get everything done. And I don't like when realtors get aggravated and say, hey, you need to change this. You didn't mark as is clause. I need you to resend out the purchase agreement and get it nice and signed and e-signed and all that good stuff. It's because it's my instruction. So if I don't have the whole set of instructions in front of me, I can't do my job. So the contract is so important, and I do take it very seriously. And so if something's missing, I will bounce it back to you. But I have to have my instructions in perfect order.
Perfect, thank you. What are the biggest challenges for private companies?
Well, we do have issues with funding sometimes. Just want to let agents know that we cannot release funds at the table until we have all funds from all parties, certified funds or wire, and also funds from the lender. We can't, and we have to send, after closing, we have to send everything to the lender for them to approve everything, and of course they'll give us our funding number, and then we can release funds. But we can't release realtor checks before we have funds. So just want to let y'all know, we're not trying to keep your money from you, but we try to fund same day unless it is a late afternoon 4 o'clock closing where we can't record with the clerk of court because they're already closed. So of course your funds would be next day. But as long as we always usually fund same day.
Great, thank you. Also from Landmark Title is Ms. Darlene Beard, and I'm going to ask her a few questions. How do you handle your title searches? Is it in-house or do you use third party?
Oh, we definitely do in-house. There's maybe 5 to 8% that we may have to source out, but it's only if we're so busy and I can't make it to an out-of-parish courthouse, for example, and those have to be outsourced. But we do probably 90 to 95% of our own.
Great, thank you. In today's market, are abstracts valuable in the title process?
Very seldom, only because they're usually outdated. So when we do a 30-year title search, which obviously sometimes has to go further back depending on that first link. You can't start an abstract with a succession, for example. So every now and then they are valuable, but for the most part, no, because they're outdated.
Mr. Lewis is going to tell us about what's happening on their side.
It's pretty, it can be pretty lengthy on describing it, but I'm gonna stick strictly with wires. So we've got a lot of requests for wires, right? Whether buyers wiring in, or more importantly, if the seller wants us to wire proceeds to him or them. The problem with that is, I mean, literally on a weekly basis, we're getting very intelligent criminals breaking into our emails and trying to extract information. We catch them and we shut them down. We have in-house IT, so that's no big deal. The problem is we have to go through so much red tape with our in-house procedures and with our bank's procedures from a compliance standpoint. To get that wire done, it's really almost impossible. Can we do it? Of course, but we prefer checks. It's safer for everybody. It's safer for all the parties, including us, including the bank. So when it comes to wire requests, you will meet with some resistance from me, from Bayou Title, because we prefer the checks just because it's cleaner and more protective of everybody. So just a little more compassion when it comes to wire requests.
it's a lot more work for us verifying those wire instructions.
Are a lot of the wire requests from overseas?
No, oh no, we ain't doing that.
We're not
That's
doing
okay.
that.
No, we're not closing that one.
Exactly.
But it is true. I mean, you can add, I'm gonna say a minimum of an hour of work per file to handle a wire request between getting it, verifying it with all parties. And we've seen verifying with the seller, verifying with the bank, make sure everything lines up, then actually doing it, following up, making sure it gets done. It's at least an hour of work, that we normally don't charge for, or just charge it to cover the wire fee itself, because the bank charges wire fees. So really, it's really tough on us, and a lot of extra work, and not to mention the exposure, right? That's the real problem, the exposure we all have.
So that's where you see most of the tech fraud is during that wire process.
Wire, see the most in wire, not as much as far as a fake seller. I haven't, in fact, I would say zero. I have not. Well, nope, I've had one, yes, a POA that was bad. But that's about it. You see more problems with the wires, and intercepting the wires.
Okay, how important is working with the realtor in your relationship and handling?
Well, obviously, when it comes to the realtors, right, we want open communication, right? We want to talk to them and also have the realtors feel like it's okay to talk to us before closing. If something happens or we have a question, how do I draft wording and the purchase agreement on different situations? We're not going to go over how many situations, because there's a ton of them and they're all different. But you know, how to word something. And again, if anything happens, such as inspection goes bad, or we have some concessions, or we need some repairs, talk to the title company early on, so we can get everybody in the loop early and figure out how to handle the situation.
I agree, because not on the day of closing do we
Yes.
want to find out that, oh, we need to hold some money in escrow, and, you know, it's gotta be all on the up and up, and yes, we can, but certain documents have to be completed to do that, and we can't just hold money indefinitely.
Yeah, we
We
don't
can't
like,
do that with our
we don't like
escrow
to.
accounts.
We don't
no.
like to do that.
So when agents ask us to do that, not that we don't wanna help you out, but we have to, there are rules for us that we have to follow, and our underwriters don't wanna see money sitting in our trust account. That's a big no-no.
That is, let's talk about that for a second, because that comes up a lot,
Yeah.
and then we'll get to the more of the building of the relationship.
Right.
But the escrow, the problem with that is, look, this is my problem with that. My problem with that is when it's escrows, I ain't the judge, right? I don't know what side the judge is gonna believe, because the buyer says they get it, the seller says they get it. What am I supposed to do, make a decision? No, that's a judge's call. So my job at that point is, okay, if we have two arguments, we have two sides, we have arguments, I'm throwing that in the courts. And if we have a $500, $1,000 escrow, that's gonna get eaten up in filing fees first day. So there's no reason to get that far, okay? Now, as far as escrow monies and all that, same thing. If we have some kind of escrow agreement, we hold the monies for whatever, repair to a roof, whatever. Again, same thing. He said, she said, I'm not gonna make that call on an escrow agreement. That's a judge's call. I'm throwing that into the courts. Y'all can go fight it out, which means y'all gonna eat up pretty much the whole, depending on the money, of course, but it's gonna be eaten up with court costs and attorney's fees. So there's really no reason to do that.
So like what, this is not related ish, but so in California, they, that's from they like escrow, like we're going to escrow, but here the terms are not the same.
Right.
Correct.
And I think even some agents are like, it doesn't even make sense, you're going to escrow, it's not even a thing to go to, like,
Yes.
why is that different?
Uh-huh.
Because even my parents, they bought a house in Idaho and they're like, oh, we're going to escrow, and I'm like, there it is again. Like, I don't-
Well, I think, and again, I'm not versed on the other states like in Louisiana, but that they do go to escrow, right? Because you go to closing, it's not funded, right?
Hi, I'm Crystal Delaney. I'm with Landmark Title, and this is Darlene Beard. She's our abstractor.
We work for Landmark Title. We pride ourselves in producing accurately. We meticulously go from beginning to end, from when the file is received from either the realtor or the lender, all the way through post-closing. So our files are opened up same day as we receive them. We do a preliminary search as far as the abstracting of the title work. That's usually completed in 2 to 3 days, and that includes the title opinion. On the preliminary search, if there's any issues, I will immediately let the realtors or lenders know. And then from there, it goes into the processor's hands, which we have Laurie, she has tons of experience with Crystal, of course. We have a combined over 100 years experience.
Yes, and this year we are celebrating our 25th anniversary, so we're happy with that. Also, you can come see us at our new location, 330 Alamo Street. We'd be happy to give you a tour. We're enjoying our new building, a lot more space, and
Third time's a charm. It's our third move since the storm.
yes.
But our owner, Ron Richard, he purchased the building and had some renovations done, so we are enjoying it.
Yes, we are. So give us a call. We're happy to help you with anything, new agents, we're here to help you. We're all a team, and we want to make this smooth and close as quickly as possible.
Again, Lewis Library with Bayou Title. Because we've been around, actually, I've been practicing for 24 years. Bayou Title has also been around for 24 years, and I just do real estate, right? And anything that goes with it, whether it's successions, any curative work, obviously, anything like that, but it's just real estate, nothing else. What makes us different is because we've been around so long, lots of experience, lots of attorneys in-house that we can rely upon, their experiences. And as far as bragging points, it's pretty simple. It's the staff, right? Anytime you got a great staff, that's who does most of the communicating and know how to get in touch with me when it's a legal issue. So Melissa, Angie, Kaylee, and of course Tiffany, our marketing rep. Any of those people, you need to get in touch with me, get in touch with them. If you can't reach me, feel free to email and ask questions, and that's what we like to say, that we are available and we will get to answer your questions as soon as we can. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our first Wednesday wake up.